Yo, what's going on? It's DJ Crowley and Blue. We're in the house once again. It's been quite a bit since we've done an interview, but we're super stoked this time to have Moo from Fat Freddy's Drop in the house. What's going on, Moo? How you doing?
Greetings. Good, thanks. Just kind of mid-tour over in Europe and currently in Hamburg, Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about tour and especially Europe here in a bit. But I do want to start off by kind of asking you a few things about just Fat Freddy's Drop in general. Usually it's not a question I do ask, but we haven't really chatted before. So tell us about Fat Freddy's Drop and how this whole thing got started. Late 90s, right? Quite a
Yeah,
bit.
it kind of kicked off the back of my kind of DJing. I was doing a lot of, there's a really healthy music scene in my hometown, Wellington, in New Zealand. I was playing a lot of kind of left field DJ sets, but and quite eclectic, ranging from reggae through to house, techno, even a bit of drum and bass and jungle. And but I was also starting an interest in studio equipment and how studios work. And eventually I started taking to my DJ sets a bit more technology, things like a Roland Space Echo and setting up a microphone. And then I would invite a couple of musicians to come along and jam, improvise over the top of, and obviously would play mostly instrumental tracks. And Dallas, who's the singer in Fat Freddy's Drop, would come along and just jam, and also a trumpet player, and would throw some echoes and dubs, and it kind of just grew out of that, really. I mean, that whole doing the live thing in a more club and DJ context actually worked quite well. And then I decided to buy a sampler and then replace the instrumental records with our own beats, original beats, and then we realized we needed more musicians, and then it just grew from there.
Yeah, I know. It goes to like 9 or 10 people, right? It's crazy, man. You guys are a live vibe in general. I've checked out a couple of your old interviews back from 10, 15 years ago, and it's you talking about how the band is so important, the live vibe is so important. You guys almost had some trouble in the studio in the beginning because you guys were like, we're just jamming. How do we create a record? I do want to talk about this new record, SLOMO.
Yeah.
Man, what a live vibe. It feels like it. Is it still the same kind of energy after all these years? Are these records a live vibe?
Yeah. I mean, going into each album over the years, often wasn't really the process wasn't really never set down in concrete. But with SLOMO, we did decide to get back to a bit more all playing in the one room all together, and that's kind of how a lot of this album got made. Because I mean, some of the other records there was a bit of that, but there's also a lot of it was constructed in the studio, a bit more with less people involved and a lot more production. But this one we decided to go back to basics and all be in the room, run down some arrangements, and then basically tidy them up and just add a bit of production and try and kind of finesse them a bit, but trying to still maintain a lot of the arrangement that got played and the vibe.
Yeah, it's a special record. I love that you guys say like we love this like 9, 10 minute, 11 minute, 12-minute tracks, because you sit in the pocket and you never know where it goes. It's so magical. Hey, if you guys are just tuning in, you're late. It's all good. We got Moo from Fat Freddy's Drop in the house, man. We talked about SLOMO. This record is out now. Everybody better check it out. I do want to talk about your homeland in New Zealand for a second, and Australia and Pacifica in general.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this for a second, because we are huge, huge fans of the art and the music that is coming out of that zone of the world. In our opinion, the music of Australia, New Zealand, the rest of Pacifica is a category of its own, and it's quite simply the best. From Dub Effects to Tash Sultana, Bobby Alu, The Black Seeds, Desmond Cheese, Leisure, Sticky Fingers, Off the Wally, Need I Go On, the entire region of Pacifica. Always a groove, full of heart, soul, and real. Tell us about why your music of this area that you guys reside in is just so special. What is it about it?
I mean, New Zealand's it's not a big place. I mean, it's an island. It's an island country, specifically in the Pacific Islands, and the pace, the way of life is a bit slower and a bit more relaxed. And a population of 4.5 million people, and spread over, for that number of people, quite a big area. So it's pretty chilled. There's a large Indigenous component to New Zealand, and a lot of people from the other Pacific Islands in the area, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, have all come to New Zealand, and so it's a very brown, it's a very cross of European and brown culture there, and music is celebrated in those cultures quite heavily, and I suppose that comes out in a lot of the vibe and the music that we make, and I suppose it's not the oldest of countries, New Zealand, so we don't. Our musical history, our local Indigenous music history, is not as maybe as steeped and as old as America or the US or Europe, and but I kind of find that in their music is a lot more rules, as in genres are certainly a bit more defined. If you're a jazz player, that's what you play. If you're doing rock and roll, that's what you do. But in New Zealand, we just a bit cheeky in that way. We just take all these great influences from around the world, and because we don't have any rules, we just blend it all together and just kind of mash it up and come up with our own little spin on it.
I love it. I love it. So we don't have any rules, and we just kind of blend it up and put our own little spin on it. That's so cool, Moo. Another thing that I really love that you guys said, you said we are a democratic band. Everyone that's involved in our musical project is treated as equal. I want to talk about the band for a second. That's something you don't hear a whole lot. Sometimes bands just have one person that is the creator, the owner, the leader, and then the band kind of does their thing on stage. I guess you could say that's not what you guys do. Tell us why.
Yeah, I think I strongly believe right from the beginning that once we were up and running properly, and that it had to be any income or any music that we made and any income that came out of it, we had to split down the middle, regardless of who actually wrote any particular tune. And I kind of worked out quite quickly that for a band to survive, that's the only way you can do it. One person's getting the money, one person's getting more money than it's not even. It won't last. It'll eventually we'll run into trouble. It might take a year, might take 2, might take 3, but it'll fall apart. And there's so many different jobs in our lives and how we do music that we're just quite good at making sure everyone takes on a bit of work, and we try, because there's in this band, is in the studio and in the writing, there are 2 or 3 people that do the bulk of the heavy lifting. But then when we play live, which is I see is just as important a factor as the studio, other people do the heavy lifting, and we just make sure that we share it around, and the work gets done, and we don't get hung up on who's doing the most work at any particular time. It just everyone gets sorted in the end, and that's how we've managed to stay together for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have definitely you got a whole team behind you now with Sarah. I guess I've been talking with and your TM and everybody. So it must be a little bit easier on the business side of things, to deal with now that you have your whole team. But when it comes to the music, it's still this whole kind of collaborative process, which is very cool, man.
Yeah, and I think there's more that so far I've discussed more kind of business, but in a creative sense, the horn players all went through the Wellington Jazz School, which was a very good jazz school. Dallas, our singer, his influences are definitely more Bill Withers, D'Angelo, myself. I definitely came out of alternative student radio, listening to a lot of left field house music and dub music, and original guitarist was a rocker. And I think it's cool that a lot of those influences have come in, and we just, like I said earlier, we just take bits from here and there, and I think it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to transfer into the live show now. Is the MPC still at the heart of every show?
Yeah, I have my setup has got a wee bit flashier, but essentially it hasn't changed in 20 years. So
wow.
I use two MPCs on stage, and the only thing that's got flashier is that I'm using the new school MPCs, which are a little bit flashier. Flashier in the sense that I used to use a MPC 2000, which has 32 meg of memory, which is something ridiculous low. Now I've got the new MPCs have got 16 gig, so I can have access to any of our songs. But yeah, it has essentially there's two drum machines, two sampling drum machines, and a big old mixing desk and a bunch of effects, and that's how I've been doing it for 20 years.
So now we haven't seen you guys live. Is there a drummer and a bass player, or is this still old school? Are we still doing?
It's all coming off the MPC.
Wow.
Occasionally, our keyboard player, if we want to move it to a different key somewhere, maybe in a jam halfway through a song, I'll turn off the bass lines from the MPC, and he'll take over on a synth bass like a Moog and play bass with his left hand. And no drummer, no bass player, not live anyway. But I've got access to some great drummers and great bass players at home, and a lot of the bass lines and drums that I'm using from the MPC are ones that I've recorded of my mates back at home, in the studio.
That's so unique to not have your rhythm section live. Like that's something you don't see very often. That definitely sets you guys apart, man. I want to stick on the live shows now. You guys are talking with us from Hamburg, Germany right now. You guys love Europe, and Europe loves everything dub, everything reggae, everything funk, soul, all that kind of stuff. Tell us why you keep coming back to Europe after all these years.
I don't know. It all started in Berlin, really. Just pre Freddy's, Dallas and I hooked up and had a thing called Joe Dickey and DJ Fitchy, and we produced one song called Midnight Marauders together. And me and my wife, Nicole, is the manager, wanted to kind of work out how important it was, and we're talking late '90s here, how important it needs to be that you have your music on vinyl. So we, with our pocket money, we pressed up, got George Horn in San Fran to master it, got it pressed up over in the States, and then I sent a whole bunch of records off to Europe, and one made it into the hands of a guy called Daniel Best, who had a little label out of Berlin called Best 7, and he loved it. And then shortly after, Nicole and I and Dallas jumped on a plane, went to meet him, and then we started trying to hook up gigs, and then eventually, in the ensuing years, managed to get the band over there, and have just been going back every year since.
It's a special place. Every artist we chat with, especially the reggae and dub acts, the funk and soul, they love Europe, and it's just a special place. The I don't call them fans. The family that comes out to shows in Europe is so dedicated and so passionate and so full love for, the music that's put in front of them. It's a special place.
And geographically, physically, it's a much simpler place to tour. Just you fly into wherever your tour's going to start, and we've got a couple of tour buses. You can drive 5 hours and you're in another country. You can drive 2 hours. You can drive. It's just a bit easier. I think that's probably why we've focused a lot of our touring in Europe, because initially built up the fans quickly, but it's a much easier place to get to tour.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, if you guys are just tuning in, you're very late now. It's all right. It's DJ Crowley and Blue in the house with Moo. Fat Freddy's dropped the new record, SLOMO, baby. All capital letters, SLOMO. SLOMO is available now. The vinyl's available. You got to get that vinyl because vinyl is final. Man, we've been talking about tour. We're talking about the record. What's coming up? You got the record. You got the tour. What you got? What else you got coming up?
For us, in the immediate future, we're here till Christmas. Head home to New Zealand, do a small amount of local shows, and it's been a couple of years since we've been over to Australia. So doing a decent run of Australia next year, March, and then I think the most of 25 we're going to have off, and I think our next big touring post SLOMO will be maybe the anniversary of our first album, based on a true story. And I think we'll maybe put a show together to hit that and hit the road with a based on a true story tour.
All right, that's exciting.
It'll be 24. It's on the 20th or 21st anniversary of that album.
So how many years have you guys been a band now? What are we looking at?
Well, I reckon my memory's a bit sketchy, but 99.
Yeah.
99, I reckon, is when it kind of was a bit murky, when it kind of morphed from just me DJing and a couple of the guys, and then it became popular, and then we morphed into more of a 6-piece band, 7-piece band, and but that's near 99-ish.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a similarity between the band Thievery Corporation. You think about Rob Garza and Eric Hilton, who kind of started off as DJs, kind of, sampling tracks and everything. And then the band evolves into that, which is also one of our all-time favorites, man.
They're from DC.
Yeah. We love.
I DJed with them about maybe 15 years ago when they came to New Zealand.
Oh, no way. That's wicked wild. That's crazy. So I got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll get you out of here. You guys are such a live vibe on stage. Can you give me a moment on stage, doesn't matter when you just knew everything was right, it was in the pocket, it was going to be a 35-minute song, or if whatever, it just feels like it was never going to end? Any moment like that you remember you can...
Oh, I mean, there's too many of those, but I mean, I think if you go back maybe 8-10 years ago, our sets were probably more legendary then, and certainly more improvised and more like, we'll play up to 3 hours, but and songs were literally 30 minutes, or jams, and versions of, I assume. But we're a bit older now, and the sets generally these days, the first half of the set will be quite arranged and quite tight, and a lot of the tight reggae songs will do, and then the second half of the set will move in more back into kind of more dub influence / house and techno vibe, and then that's when we kind of stretch out. But yeah, like I said, we're a bit older now. I mean, I think the second half of the set's all we've got, really. as far as energy and stamina to keep that improv going.
There's nothing like that feeling when it's like, okay, let's hit the pocket and then let's just see where this goes. I mean, that's the beauty of improvisational music, man. It's so cool. All right, so we are going to get you out of here, Moon. Thank you so much for joining us. One more question, everybody gets it. Make sure you guys go check out Fat Freddy's Drop. If this is your millionth time hearing about Fat Freddy's Drop, keep checking them out. If this is your first time, welcome. Check out Fat Freddy's Drop. Check out all the music of New Zealand, Australia, Pacifica. It's some of the best stuff in the world, on the planet, and stamp that. It's so good. We can't wait to see what the future holds for more of Fat Freddy's Drop. It is such a powerhouse. What does reggae mean to you?
Oh, it's a way of life for me. I mean, I'm still buying vinyl all the time, and most of it these days is just reggae music. And yeah, it's a way of life. It's an attitude, and I love the space.
Thank you so much, Moo. We appreciate you, and we will see you very soon. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Peace and love.
The more this is with the meaning.